an inbuilt database, that is built-in database already available in R. Whenever you install RStudio, this database comes to you along with that pre-installed. Let me use that. Let's start with that. Firstly, let me show you which database we are going to use. So we will paint the database, that is cars database. You can call dataset cars. So here you can see what is there in this cars dataset. Here we are having approximately 50 records. Fine. So you can see the two columns that are available in this built-in database are speed and the distance. Okay, so they are speed and distance, in which one will we use as a predictor variable and other we will use as the distance variable. So let me tell you which variable we are using for which purpose. So here we will use the predictor variable. We will use speed as predictor, and for a response we will use distance, which means we are going to do something like that. If the speed of a car is this much, then what will be the total distance covered, approximately distance coverage. So in this we are having a few data values, for which certain distance is given, like if the car is going at the speed of 4, then it can cover distance up to 2 to 10. If the car is having distance of speed of 7, then the distance covered between 4 and 22 likewise. Fine. So this is how this dataset is going to work. Fine. So before working on the database, let's plot this data once. Let's plot cars dataset. So here you can see it is showing some correlation between distance and speed. You can visualize it from the graph, which is approximately 50 values are here, 50 dots are here according to the speed and car. Before proceeding further, let me create a copy of this inbuilt database cars. Let's not disturb this built-in database because we can use it for other purpose also. So for that, let's firstly create a copy of the database. I will create a copy named as cars1. Inside this, I will copy the data from the dataset, that is from cars data.frame, and we will copy from cars. So I have specified this value, as you can see. Okay, now let's see whether it has been copied or not. For that, use the print command on cars1. So here we can see it has been copied. Fine. So we have already seen one thing, that when we are working on this type of data, so what we are doing in that case, here we say we use some values. The values like from a particular point we are having a training set. That training set will be provided to the uh, model, for which the training will be given to the model, and after that what we will do the prediction on the test set. Just a minute, let me tell you, make it more clear what I am saying. Now here let me make you something more clear about this, what we are saying, we are talking about. So here we are talking about what we are going to use. Here we will use training set. With this training set, we will train the model. Let us call, we will use the name LM model for this model. That model will be named as LM model. And from this, what we are going to do, on this LM model, we will apply the test data. Test set will be applied. And from this, we will take out the predicted values. And for this, what we are going to do, we have created a copy named as cars1, which is a copy of cars. We have created carbon copy of cars dataset as cars1. Now what we are going to do, we are going to split this cars1 database into two parts. One will be the training training set, another one will be the test set. And here what we are going to do, we are going to make the division as 70% and 30%. 70% we will keep as training data and 30% we will keep as test data, because we always say if a knowledge base is strong, it is having much of the knowledge, much of the data is available, then more accurate predictions can be done. So that's why we will use 70% of data. And to do this type of division, what we will do, we will use another built-in function, and that built-in function is named as we will use the split function. Fine. So the split function is used with this function, that is sample.split. So sample.split function will be used to split the data set into two parts, training set as well as the test set. And for doing this, one more thing that we will be doing is we will be giving the seed value. Seed value. So for that, seed is inbuilt function which is used with set.seed. If I specify set.seed equal to 3, it means we are using the division categories into 3. Fine. If I specify set.seed is equal to 2, it means I have set the seed value to 2 in which the suppletion is going to happen. So after doing this suppletion, we will train the model with this. After this, we will specify the values with the test set, and we will make the prediction based on this test set. So this is the thing that we are going to do. So let's start that. So till now what we have done, we have done the car created the copy of this car set. So next what thing we are doing, we have already seen the plotting of that. Now next thing that we are going to do is splitting data into training set and test set. This is the thing that we are going to do. So for that we will use, I have already told you, we will use set.seed. Now you can see from here, it is showing that set.seed. It is a random seed. It is an integer vector that contain the random number generator. It will use random number generator state from random number generation in R. It can be saved and restored, but should not be altered by the user. So let's set the value set.seed equal to 2. Let's run this. Okay, so we have set the seed. Next thing is we have to use the split function with the help of sample.split. For doing that, you have to install library. Let me write the name of the packages that you have to install. So you have to install set.packages CA tools. So you have to install this package CA set.tools. Let me write it in single quotes. This is the thing that you have to do. I have already installed this CA tools package, so I will not reinstall it, but you have to install it. After that, you have to import the library, and the library that you have to import is again CA tools. So you will import this library. Fine. After importing this library, now you are able to create the split. So for creating the split, I am using a split vector. I am creating a split vector. I will write split over here. Then I will use sample dot split. Now I want to split cars 1, so I will specify the name. After that, what I need to do is I have to specify the split ratio. As I have already discussed that we can use the split ratio 70% and 30%, 70% for training data and 30% for test data. So here we again need to specify the split ratio so that we can split the data set cars into the ratio in which we want. So we will define it like this: split dot ratio equal to 0.7. So it will consider it as 70%. So let's run it. Just wait let me, okay, we have put comma here, there is dot. Okay, fine. So what we have done with this point here, we have separated the cars data set, that is cars 1 data set with the ratio of, so with the separate ratio 0.7, that is 70% and 30%. So it will be separated into two by this category. So we can check what has happened with this. For that, let's print the split vector. Let's see what is there in the split vector. So here you can see the first column was here was speed and second was distance. Fine. So we have given the more weightage to this first part, that is 70% speed and 30% to the test data. So here we have done, it is showing that the value that we have to consider while the subtraction for speed, it will be true. And for the second part, for distance calculation, we have to use the false. Let me show you what I meant to say by this. Let me write the next command for that. It will be more clearer to you after that. So let's create train set now. Let me call it train 1. Training set I'm creating. You can use the name as TS1, TS2, whatever you want to use. So for this, we have to use a subset function. We already know the use of subset function. In the previous sessions, we have done this, that a subset function is used to return some set of values from the vectors, from matrices, from data frames based on certain conditions. Here we will specifying the conditions based on the true and false that we have got under suppletion. So here we are using split function. Subset function, sorry. So inside the subset function, first parameter will be the name of the data set which we want to split. So cars, then split equal to true we will use. So done. So next is test 1. Now we will create the test 1 vector, test data set. So let's call test 1. Again we will use the subset cars 1 comma separate. Here we will specify false because in this we are considering distance, and for distance separate function has specified the boolean value as false. Fine. So this is how we have created. Now once this is done, the next thing is, now we are having training set as well as we are having a test set. Next thing that we have to do is we have to create a model. For creating a model, again we will be using the function. That function is known as model LM function. So let me call the function name as LM underscore model, as I have already explained in PPT also. So LM model we will use over here, and inside this I will use the function LM, and here I will specify the relationship between distance, the function that will be as a relationship and distance and the speed. Now which database we are using? We are using the data equal to cars 1. Now here you can see when we did the same thing with vector variable, like over here. Here we didn't specify the second argument for the model creation LM function, because we were creating a relationship between only two vectors. But now here we are not using simply vectors. Here we are using data sets, which are predefined data set, which, or you can consider it as a data frame, data set, whatever you want to call, which consists of a lot of values. So in this case, you can't simply specify the name of the vectors, because these are not the name of the vectors. These are basically columns of a data set. So these two columns are coming from cars data set. So we will specify it like this: distance, speed, and secondly we will specify from which data set these are coming. So this is the difference between by a demo version. That was the first one. That was just to understand what do you mean by linear regression and what do you mean by prediction in that. And now we are doing the actual real life implementation of this thing. That's why we are performing it on a data set. And when we are performing this thing on a data set, you have to specify the complete details for the LM function. So let's run it. Now we have created the LM model. Let's once plot this model. Plot LM underscore model. So here you can see the model has been created, which is for distance and speed. It is representing the residuals. Now let's check the residuals, that is the variation over here. So for that, what we can do, we can print the summary of the model. We will write print summary LM model. Let's print it. Here you can see the summary. Now, here you can see the summary. Excuse me. It is showing that this function has been used, and the residual errors, which in case is when we are talking about the minimum value for the factors. Here it will be minus 29%, minus 29.069 for the first quadrant it's minus 9.52, for median it's minus 2.27, for third quadrant it's 9.21, and for the maximum it's 40. Maximum residual error that can come is 43%. So from this certain coefficients we have already discussed about coefficients. What are these? And residual error in this case is 15.38% on 48 degree of freedom, that is calculated based on this one. Fine. So this is how we can work with this. This is how we can print the summary. Once this is done, let's once try what is the correlation degree of this, because in the previous session we have discussed that when we are choosing any variables for this purpose, we must check the correlationship degree, the strength of the correlationship. So let's check that. Let's check the correlationship between we are using CAST database. So we will specify this like name of the data set. When after that $ and speed. This is how we refer a particular column of a data set. We have already done a lot of this when we have discussed about the vectors and data sets and data frames. So in that case, we discussed about that. So you are using CARS1, and here CARS1 $. Then the next column that we want to check for is distance. Let's do it. So here we can see the correlationship, that is the degree of strength of the relationship between speed and distance is 0.80, which is a positive, strong positive correlation. The value is not coming in minus, so it is a strong positive correlation. If it means if the speed is increasing, the distance is also increasing. Fine. So this is how we have checked for correlationship. Now let's work for the prediction part. For that we will do predict. I have just created a temporary vector in which I will be presenting the results, that is predict, and under this I will use predict built-in function, and here I will specify the name of the model. My name of my model was LM underscore model, and I have to check it for test1, because I will be implementing, or you can say applying LM model, the model linear model that we have created based on the formula. We want to use that model to predict the value for the test data set, and we are having a test data set named as test1. So let's do it. Okay, done. It has run successfully without any error. Now let's print what is there in the PRED. So here you can see it is specifying all the values, some estimated values, predicted values are coming, like for a particular value that you have specified, what will be the residual value, what will be the predicted value in those cases. So this is how we can apply these things, how we can apply the prediction variables. So let's do a few more examples. Let me open some practice exercises for that. Just give me 1 second. Let's do some practice exercises also. So these practice exercises are coming in your practice week quizzes also. So these exercises are from that part only, not from anything new. We will do some practice exercises also during the lab session. So let's do them one by one. So let's have a look at the first exercise. What does it saying? It is saying load the car's data set using the data function. It means we have to use the data function for loading the values. So what does it mean? It means data is a built-in function which we want to use. Let's see how it is working. It means we will use the data, and inside this we will use the name of the data set. This is simple exercise, just one line exercise. So in this case we have loaded the data cars. Now what is next saying? Now it is saying next thing is, let's verify once whether it has been loaded. So simple, we will write print cars, that's it. Or you can print top 5 values by with the help of head. So you can write head cars, top 5 values, 6 values will be presented, and if you use tail cars, bottom 6 values will be presented. But remember one thing, if you want to define correlationship between two variables, then it should occur in pairs. It means if 50 values are existing for speed, then the 50 values must exist for distance also. So for finding out or for defining a correlationship between different variables, between the predictor and these type of variables, you must have the values occurring in pairs only. Fine. So next, let us proceed towards next exercise. What is it? So here you can see in the next exercise it is saying plot car's speed on y-axis, stopping on the x-axis. So for that, let's attach the database once. So how can we attach? We can attach with the attach function, attach cars, so that we need not to specify this cars database again and again in each and every function. We can simply attach it. Now let's plot it. This is simple. We can simply do it by using plot cars. Fine. So this has already plotted. So it is being represented over here. Let's proceed towards the next exercise. It says using the LM function, that is the linear model function, to fit a linear model to the data with the stopping distance as the response variable, plot the line that best fit it. So it's simple. It is simply asking for creating a model. Let me call the model as M2 model. And it simply says LM. And for distance and speed, it's nothing else. It simply means like this only. So model has been done. Now you can plot the model. You will simply do plot M2. So the model has been plotted. Fine. So next exercise, have a look at that question also. It says use summary to obtain parameter. It says use summary to obtain parameter of the model. So again, this very simple task, it is simply asking you to print the summary. So you will use summary of M2. Done. Just a minute. Fine. So summary is coming over here. All type of error, percentage of error, each and everything has been presented over here. Now next exercise. Next exercise is a question which says, are the data homoscedastic? It has defined what do you mean by homoscedastic. It says homoscedastic data means the distribution of error should be the same for all the values of explanatory variables. It is homoscedastic data means that the distribution of error should be same for all the explanatory variables. So let's go back to our graph plotting over here. And here you can see from this point, just a minute. So I think we have skipped fifth exercise. Okay, sorry, we are left with fifth one, which says use the plot command, the linear model to obtain 4 plots of residuals. Means for the linear model that we have created, we want 4 plots. Now suppose if you want to create the 4 plots, how can we make the plots 4 plots? It means 2 by 2, row by column. So for that we have to use the function. Let me tell you about that function also. So for doing that, you have to set the parameters. For that, we will be using the built-in function par. Par stands for parameter. Now, why this function is used? This function can be used to set or query graphical parameters. You can set the graphical parameters by specifying either row-wise or column-wise. Now, let us have a look at that. We will use par, and inside this, we are mentioning MF row. Now this means that you want it to be column wise or graph wise. If you are specifying MF row, it means row wise matrix division will be done, and if you are specifying MF column, then it will be column wise. So let us specify C 2 comma 2 because we are talking about creating the 4 plots, so we are specifying 2 comma 2. Let's run it. Now let's print for the model. Our model name was M2, so we will print M2. So here you can see 4 models has been plotted. Now let's see what will be the difference if we are using MF colon. If we are using MF colon, these two will be converted into this place, and these two will be coming over this place. So that will be the change. Let's try that also. Now let's plot for that. So here you can see the values have been shifted. Fine. Row wise and column wise swapping has been done. So this is how you can set the parameters. You can set these parameters in pie charts, in Gantt charts, or any in bar charts also, and in simple plots also. You can set the parameters based on this. You can make the division. You can set the parameters row wise, column wise, or whatever type of parameter you want to change for plotting the graph. You can do that changes as per your requirement. Now let's have a look at exercise number 7. So exercise number 6, it says now it's about homoscedastic. So whether this is homoscedastic or not. So let's have a look at this. Firstly, let's change. Fine. So here what does it mean? It says homoscedastic. So here we say the answer should be yes. The data does appear to be homoscedastic. Why so? Because the mean for the errors is the same for all the values. For all the explanatory values, it is same. This can be seen in the top left. This one. That is top left, or this one, bottom left. From these two plots. And in these plots, a perfect horizontal line is coming. You can see this is a perfect horizontal line. In this case, this is again one of the perfect horizontal line, but not in these two. Remember, in not these two, we are not having perfect horizontal line, but in these two cases, we are having perfect horizontal line. So a perfectly horizontally line at 0, it would indicate that the mean of the residuals is 0 in this case, and there is very less shifting from that case. It means residual error is coming 0 in this case. And the same for all the values for all the explanatory variables. So here we see that there is some deviance from the horizontal line at the tails, which can be explained because there is some gap. Now let's have a look at the next exercise, which says, are the residuals normally distributed? It is asking for the residuals are normally distributed or not. So have a look at the graph again. And here if we have a look at the QQ plot, this QQ plot, fine, which is here. So it indicates that the residuals are close to normally distributed. These are normally distributed. From this image, from this visualization, you can see these are normally distributed. There is some deviance from normality at the tails. Fine, at this these are the tail points. At the tail, there is some deviance from the normality of the distribution, where there are only a few data points, because here we are having a number of data points, but at the tails we are having very few data points. So the normality is happening at only the place where only few values are there. But if there are a number of values available, then the normality graph is maintained, because those values are covering others value calculation, so it is not affecting that much. So fewer data points are there in this case. So let's proceed further. So next exercise, are the residuals correlated or self-explanatory? Then yes, in that case, in our case, the residuals are correlated, and they are, but they are not correlated to the explanatory variable. So this is again, this is a bonus test we need not to perform. So let's proceed to word exercise number 10. It says remove the 49th record from the Cook's theorem. Now we are not removing any of the record right now. We are not changing the data, because there are several points in that case. Simply if you want to remove, then you will, how can we remove? Yes, can anyone tell me? Let's remove from cars 1. If we want to remove from cars 1, what we can do? Let's store them in cars 2. For cars 2 equal to, what will we do? We will do cars 1 minus 49 comma done. Now let's print cars 2. Here you can see after 48 what is coming. After 48 we are getting 50. Fine. So after 48 we are getting 50 instead of getting 49. Why 49 is not coming? Because we have created a cars database which we have printed over here after removing the 49th value from this cars 1 database. So that was the exercise number 10. So if there is any value that is giving some incorrect result, and you are finding there, you are able to find that there is very much too much abnormality in that case. In that case, you can remove that particular variable, particular data value from the existing ones. Next example. Let's do one or two more examples. We are having 4 minutes. Let's do those examples also. So here it is saying load the state data set. If someone is asking to load a data set, it means that is the inbuilt data set. It means a part is load the state data set. Let's quickly do this. So for that we will simply do as we have loaded the cars database. So how we have loaded? For that simply we wrote the data function, and inside that we wrote the name of the data set. So it was state. Now simply the state has it has been loaded. Fine. After this, it has been loaded. But it is saying in the B part, convert the state x.77 dataset to a data frame. So in that case, we have to create a data frame. For that, let's call that state 77, and inside this state 77 we will use the function data frame for making it a data frame. And what was the name for that? Here we have to specify the as keyword also, because we want to make it a data frame. So we will mention as dot data frame state dot x77. Fine. So we have changed, we have loaded it into state 77. Now let's have look at the C part. In the C part, it is saying rename the life x variable, sorry, life xp column to life.exp and hsgrad to hs.grad. It says to avoid the problems with referring the variable specifying a model. That's why the reason it is saying. So this is again very easy. How we can do? We have already done names function in the previous lecture. So here we will use names function. We will use this names function and we will specify the data frame in which we want to perform this operation and the column that we have to refer. In that case, let me print first. To show you, we have to print state 77. Let me print first so that I can show you what we are going to do. So here in this query, it has been said that we have to change this column name life exp to life.exp, hs gradient to hs.grad. Fine. And let us calculate the column index value for this. So for life expectancy, it's 1, 2, 3, fourth column name, and for hs grade, it's sixth index value. So for first, we will specify 4 over here, which is the index value for the column. And here we will mention life.exp. Done. So let's change the second one also. After that, we will print. In that case, we will change in state 77 the sixth index, and we will change it to hs.grad. Now we have changed. Now let's print state 77 once again. So here you can see this has been renamed to life.exp to hs.grad. So we are having a number of exercises that we can do. We have done up to 12th rest you can do with your practice. These all are about the same things that we have discussed. So you can do practice of these. If you are having any doubt, then now you can ask your doubts. The session is open for doubts now.